If you've ever wished you could turn back the clock, biohacking could just be the answer.
Yeah, it's a wellness trend that involves small changes to boost your energy, improve your health and even reverse ageing.
Our next guest says she's done just that. Wellness guru Davinia Taylor, who's 47, has recently discovered that her biological age is just 20. She joins us now alongside GP Dr. Hussain to explain more. Good morning to you,
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm feeling like I'm dressed like a 20-year-old as well.
Very
I'm like, oh my God, is this too low?
Very nice to see you.
Thanks for having me.
So, hold on. How have you worked out that you've got the biological age for a 20-year-old?
Well, what they do is they take... It's a company called Age, and they take a blood test, and they just basically measure your inflammatory markers. I mean, I'm definitely not 20. I mean, look at me, I'm 47. But my inflammation markers are that of someone much younger than me.
Right.
And inflammation is the driver of... Forgive me for overstepping, but the driver of most chronic diseases like cancer, like Alzheimer's, diabetes, heart disease. It's that inflammatory marker that is pushing you into that red zone.
So if you can bring your inflammation down internally, you can change
You're going to be more resilient. It's about resilience for me. Rather than looking a certain way, it's about feeling confident that my body is working how it should do, or optimising it, actually, with a few little hacks.
So, Davinia, you've been on quite a journey through your life, through your teen years, your 20s, your 30s, to where you are now. Having been an actress, having been very well known, having been a real party girl, having dealt with alcoholism and all sorts of addiction as well, your life has literally changed.
Well, I'm kind of lucky because I was drinking in my 20s really heavy. Alcoholism got me. So I got sober, like, at the end of my 20s.
Right.
So I spent my 30s and 40s completely sober. So I could then target on other things that were annoying my body, like... As soon as I put the wine down, and it was always wine, white wine was the one for me, I picked up bread, carbohydrates, because it makes you feel cosy, it makes you feel safe, like wine did, you know? And I didn't realise that was causing inflammation as well, and it was a carbohydrate addiction. And now I just have carbohydrates at night, like sourdough or roast dinner or something, because it makes you feel cosy, you get the carb coma, and that lulls you into a deep sleep, rather than having toast and croissants in the morning that can give me brain fog. And I can't optimise myself, so I fuel my day on fat, which reduces my calorie intake, really, and the carbohydrate intake is reserved for when I want to feel cosy with the kids, having a big meal. You know, it's about timing the food and what fuel source you've got in your brain.
Davinia, what do you think your 20-year-old Davinia Taylor would say to 47-year-old?
Oh, she'd say absolutely bore off. Absolutely boring, don't want to hear anything about it. I mean, I would have... I mean, painfully boring.
But it's really interesting because we were saying about listening to you on Chris Evans the other day, and you've got, like, some tips for kind of even what you shouldn't be doing. Because what you always say is sometimes it's difficult to do what you should be doing. So what should we not be doing?
Well, I mean, there's so many things that like I said, timing your carbohydrates is a great tip. So just starting your day in the morning with putting, like, a fat in your coffee or your tea can really change how your brain works. I mean, it pushes you into a state of ketosis, which means the brain has a very smooth, calm energy rather than the up and down of glucose, you know? I mean, glucose is great if you're an athlete. We've got a triathlete doctor here, you know? So that is great at a particular time. But if you're just, like, going from the kitchen to the car to the office, maybe change your fuel source and get sharper when you need to be and more focused on the job in hand rather than the food noise that we get, you know? It's making little tiny switches that you don't get the cravings anymore. And that was freedom for me because I get so preoccupied with what can I have next? What's coming next? Where's my snack? It's 11 o'clock, let's have a Kit Kat, you know?
We're going to come to your top tips in just a moment. Dr. Hussain, do you find quite a lot of your patients are coming into you talking about those sorts of things, and particularly the inflammation part of Davinia's approach to all of this?
Yeah, definitely. We've seen a much bigger awareness and concern in terms of how people are ageing. And I think that's fantastic. We've got more kind of health-conscious nation that are looking on what they can do to support their health. And, yeah, definitely patients coming in, asking questions about it, because there's so much information out there. And the information is really challenging because often it can be polar opposites. You know, one place is telling you, eat lots of this. The other place is going, don't eat this, you're going to die tomorrow. And so it can be very, very traumatising for people trying to navigate it.
And the terminology sometimes throws people as well. So what is biohacking, essentially?
Yeah, like, do you know what? Biohacking means something different to different people, if I'm being honest. But I would say it's trying to make changes within your behaviours, lifestyle, in order to optimise your physiology to live better for longer. And we're not talking about just the number that you reach in terms of your lifespan. We're talking about your health span, the number of years where you've got a quality of life and a health that allows you to do the things you enjoy.
Brilliant.
So biohacking for me is just hacking into that biology. So I can make myself sleepy when I want to. I can chill myself out, but I can also rev myself up. I can focus. I can be excited at certain times of the day when it's appropriate. And that for me is control. So hacking into your biology, it's just like cleaning hacks. It's just fast-track ways to make yourself feel better at the right time of day. And that for me is just control over my day. Because life is chaotic. We've got too much to do, and yada, 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 and kids and everything.
Yeah.
So let's start with, you've got 5 top tips for us, haven't you, Davinia? Let's start with the first one.
Well, I think that probably the most famous one is the cold water exposure, which revs up dopamine because we don't want to do it, the body goes into shock, so you have all these survival hormones all over you. But very quickly, you will start feeling a self-esteem because you've done something you didn't want to do. However, there's a caveat with this. A lot of people do cold exposure every day and they become tolerant. My tip is flip a coin, right? Heads, you go into the cold, and I'm just talking about in the shower. You don't have to, you know, go into the Thames. Heads, you go into the cold. Tails, you don't, because the body is very clever at becoming tolerant, and you won't get that lift in dopamine, that lift in self-esteem, because the body expects it. Even doing it on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the body will learn.
And
so flip a coin.
If you flick tails, you don't have to go in. It's a massive relief.
Massive relief, yes. So either way, you win.
So does cold plunge work? Does altering
there's been a lot of evidence looking at cold exposure.
Yeah.
And we know that the body goes through physiological changes where it releases proteins, which help to dampen down inflammation when it's either in extremes of cold or hot. And that's why you see sauna being used.
Yeah.
In terms of seeing, like, significant benefits from cold water exposure, there are some. It's by no means huge, and there's more evidence that we need to collate from larger studies that are more controlled to really appreciate the benefits. However, harms are pretty minimal as long as you make sure that your health condition allows you to go through those kind of exposures and, of course, avoid hypothermia. So you need to ensure that you do this carefully. And
you only need like 30 seconds and do it on the back of your neck, so you're just activating that vagus nerve, the soles of your feet, and then get out. That's it.
What about squatting? I've heard of a squatty potty before.
Yes, so squatting, I mean, we can move on to the toilet bit shortly.
Oh, OK.
So squatting is a really good way to...
Yes.
So if you can just... The body is so good, it remembers, it's got muscle memory. Right. So from when you were a toddler, you've been learning how to create proteins by doing things like squatting, crawling, you know. The body never forgets the recipe to create these proteins. So just by squatting, even just like for 30 seconds, twice a week, within 2 weeks, you will gain muscle mass.
So a supported
really
squat
quickly.
like that, or would you rather see someone actually
No,
proper
absolutely,
deep
you
squat?
can do this in your sitting room. Even if you can do 10 seconds, guaranteed, a week later, you'll be able to do 20. It's way more... It's brilliant because it's not like fat loss.
Right.
You see the gains very quickly. Just write it down. It'll be fantastic. You'll suddenly feel self-esteem and it'll encourage you to do more. Muscle mass is longevity.
Yeah.
It's something that I try and do, things like that. Certainly for my mobility as well, my lower back, I find that if I can actually work on my squat and how long I can hold a squat, makes a big difference. And as an athlete, you must feel the same.
Yeah, like physical activity, when we're talking about longevity, it's the biggest lever. You know, it is the thing that we look in science, both from a fitness perspective, assessing VO2 max or muscle function. It has a really good correlation when we look at all-cause mortality, so your risk of dying early, essentially. Yes, the wall squat that we had the image of there, that's fantastic because it's an isometric exercise. You're holding it, so your muscles tend to then get a lot of blood flow going in. Lots of evidence to show that's great for blood pressure, if that's something that you're struggling with. But also, when we talk about movement, the next movement's the best movement. You know, if doing a squat is not your cup of tea and you're not going to really do it, don't. You know, just find a movement that you enjoy and think of non-traditional forms. Think of dancing, gardening, going for walks with your friends. And if you feel more confident, then, access more specific movements in the gym because they can be very specific and they can really help you to build a strong body. Because, as you rightly say, muscle mass is an underrated commodity and really important for metabolic health.
It's great for the immune system as well, isn't it? Stops you from getting ill.
Lifting the legs when you're on the loo.
Quick one. So when you're on the loo, get the old toddler. Do you remember when your toddlers were training to use the loo? If you can lift your... I can't believe I'm doing this on TV. If you lift your knees up above 90 degrees, it helps with the transition of the waist.
Yeah.
Basically, we should really do that. It was kind of... I think the Victorians invented that loo, that 90 degree. We should be going lower. It helps with hip, but also the digestion. So that's if you're a little bit constipated, lift up the legs.
That will definitely help. We've not got any time left, but we've got... So you've got 2 more to do. Which ones would you like to do? We've got natural fats and forest bathing. Which one do you want to talk about?
Forest bathing, fabulous, because we've had beautiful weather. If you go through the forest, you will reduce inflammation because the sunlight going through the leaves creates NIR, near infrared light, which makes you feel calm.
And that's something I'm sure you agree with. It's a bit like...
Yeah, it comes from the Japanese Shinrin-yoku, which is forest bathing. And essentially, it sounds very posh, but just spend some time outside in green spaces. Do it with your family and friends. Maybe do it at Park Run on a Saturday.
Yeah,
you know,
think about how you do. Love that. Davinia, lovely to see you. Thank you for coming. This is Davinia's book, Future-Proof, Build Resilience, Feel Younger, Live Longer. She's done an incredible job and is out there. It's really fantastic. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, hello. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning.